Content creators over 40 navigate technology overload by default. There are some exceptions to the rule, but for me, as an example, I wasn't even planning to buy anything, but 10 minutes in the camera aisle, and I felt like I didn't belong there. So, and this is recently, this was just last weekend. So I'm someone that's already started my channel, and I literally was just browsing because I was at a shopping centre with my wife and daughters. And my daughters are all adult, two daughters that were there on that time, 19 and 21. Very soon to be 22. And obviously they do their girly shopping, and I thought, well, I'm going to go to a store here in Australia called JB Hi-Fi. And I had no intention of anything really than to just browse. But for someone that's already started their channel and am comfortable enough in my own skin to use the bare amount of equipment that I have, I've not felt actually out of sorts or overwhelmed by technology other than by idea alone. But on this day, wow, it really was catching me off guard, you know. Now, these are all questions that I'm about to go through. These are questions that I asked myself initially. They're questions that arose in me again, and they're questions that I believe they'd be questions you yourself ask. And I'd like to try and put your mind at ease moving forward so that you at least start and do the thing, you know, because it's important to start your creative journey. And that's what I want to help you to prioritize, basically. So before I get into that though, my name's Carl. I help anxious people find their mental clarity and gain creative confidence. Apologies for that stagger on performing that line of text. I just had a vehicle go past me then that I wasn't too sure on its action because I saw it swerving a bit, and the guy was on his phone. He shouldn't be. Literally, there's no need to be holding phones up to your ears these days while you're driving, but still, some people do. Okay, so first question that can be asked is like along the lines of, how do I know what gear I actually need to start? Right, and this question is born from a fear, largely, of wasting money, a fear of getting it wrong, and a fear of even asking for advice because you're a bit embarrassed, and you just sort of want to get in there and get out. And trust me, it's not going to be that easy. But depending on what sort of content or even what creative process you're going to follow. But as a content creator, if you're going to be someone that needs to film and shoot the likes of cinematics or something very high tech that your phone in itself is incapable of doing, and you really do need to find that type of camera, or maybe it's a high action type of footage you're going to record, so you might need the likes of GoPros, those sorts of things. So for those people that are going down that line, yes, you can't avoid the fact that you're going to need to have to buy hardware to suit that type of shot. But for the remainder of us, I just want to remind you that the likes of me, I've only ever bought a lavalier mic, which I bought online. I never had to go into a store to buy it. And I took some recommendations from local people, actually people that use them for presentations, so giving basically speeches in person, not necessarily online, although I do know that they record and publish their speeches online as well. And it was really available locally to me, but I just went for a order online option. And that's all I've done. My phone is something I already have. A tripod that doubles as a selfie stick when I need it to. I bought that in a standard department store that didn't really cater to, the heavy-end technology or content creators or, streamers or anything like that. So the selection was minimal, and I just went for the cheapest option because I didn't know at the time that I was even going to need it, but I do need it and I use it heavily. So that's good. But that's about it. So my budget is to get started, other than the cost of a phone and a phone plan wherever you are in the world. But if it's a fairly modern phone, like newer than 8 years old, it should be able to film in high def, and even then, or ultra high def, ultra high def, so 4K, or high def 1080p. It should be able to do that still within reason. And so, not taking into account the cost of a phone, because most of us need a phone or want a phone nowadays regardless. So less than $100 for the tripod and the mic. That's it. You don't need to know really what gear you need. If you're wanting to run with a fairly simple recording setup, like me, that's all you need, at least initially. It's getting a feel for the whole thing and the dynamic behind becoming a content creator. That's what you really need to drill down into, and that takes time. That doesn't take money and equipment, unless you are, like I said, one of those that, as I suggested earlier, that are you might have a high action type video that you want to release, or cinematography where you need a higher tech level of camera. So then this leads into another question, though, is why do I feel so overwhelmed? And this applied to me when I was just walking within a tech store. A lot of it was actually overstimulation. Even though I wasn't even going in there with a desire or a need for anything in particular, I just thought it'd be interesting to look at what technology and gadgets are out there that, they actually have their own sections for content creators and streamers. And so, everything, I was probably more getting lost in the mics more than cameras, to be fair. Because I was, at some point I'd like to upgrade my mic, and more so for I think the audio quality is okay, but it picks up too much noise. And I understand you can get like mufflers to put over your mics to cancel out wind and stuff like that, but I think overall I'd like to go for a higher quality mic regardless, just because I do want to invest back into this venture. And so when money starts trickling in, that's what I'm going to do, is put it into making this a better experience for you and for myself. But there's also an element of age, and that's why I did put 40 plus. I'm 40 plus, I'm 49, nearly 50, and I turn 50 March next year, 2026. Geez, time flies. But even myself, I'm someone that I don't pride myself on, but I'm someone that keeps fairly up to date with technology, and yet I still find overwhelm when it comes to something like that, because it's a new area in regards to technology. So I know computers okay, I know anything to do with gaming okay, your standard sort of home entertainment setups I've been big on, audio, video, TVs, the whole lot. I've always been into that. And wouldn't necessarily get too overwhelmed in that space, but these areas are new to me. I've never looked at microphones or cameras or anything like that because my phone has been enough. And the other question, I guess, that people ask is, do I need to spend thousands to make good content? And that could be a barrier that puts people off straight away. There's a few reasons people will think that, and the main one is because of a comparison point. If you look at some of your key creators that you subscribe to and follow, you'll think, geez, I have an amazing setup. You like the backdrop, you like the lighting, the camera effects, all of that. And quite often these same creators will even have a behind the scenes type of video that goes through their setup. They'll have all of these push button little dashes so that they can control, multiple camera angles, so they can control things like, super chats, etc. If they're on a live chat, they'll have these massive lights in certain locations and obviously multiple cameras to get those multiple angles. Might even be like props and lighting and that they pour money into to make it look the way they are. And so you compare yourself to that, and that can be an instant barrier, especially if you're starting from scratch. But like I said earlier, unless there's a particular type of footage you need to record, you don't need to spend anything, to be fair, not even a mic. If you can find a inside location to record, such as an office, or you can make it your own studio or even a bedroom, if you can get that set up in your own home or, used a location that is like that, your microphone on your own phone will be sufficient as long as you're not too far away from it, at least to start. Audio quality is, in my opinion, the first thing to put money towards and to improve and rectify if you don't have a mic at all. But you can get cost-effective, like lavalier mics, which will improve the quality somewhat, according to the price. And you can always upgrade again later, which is what my plan was to do. You also don't want to invest so heavily into something that you haven't yet tried out. You got to give it a really good shot to weigh up whether this is you for the long haul. So you don't need to spend thousands, all right? And don't get caught up in that comparison trap. It's not healthy, it's not good, it's not going to do you any good. And the same goes just for their content type and their ability to present the way they do. They've been doing this for years. You've been doing this we haven't maybe even done it at all yet. So it takes us time to get there. Comparison, don't do it. Just challenge yourself. That's all you got to do. A question that I might get asked is, what did I start with? I've already covered that. And what I started with is what I'm currently rolling with, which is a Samsung S22 phone. So it's not even the latest phone, but it does film in UHD, so 4K at 30 frames, both from the front and the rear camera, although the rear camera does provide better quality, I feel, which is the case for most people. So that's fine. A tripod, you can pick those up. I think my one was like $30, but I've seen them cheaper than that. And the lavalier mic, my mic costs $80. And that's all you need. So the biggest value or the biggest currency you need to invest in this is time, not money. I will say that. And I don't mean just time to find time to record and edit and upload. It's time and consistently showing up. You've got to do this consistently to have any chance of succeeding. Right? The 0.01% chance that blow up overnight, very unlikely that it's going to be you or I. So we shouldn't go into our thinking like that. And then last, how do I stop feeling like I don't belong as a modern creator? Again, this is a bit of an ageism issue. We do, by default, us older people, we view, well, social media, we view as a younger space that was dominated by younger people, is what I should say. But YouTube is different, whereas it's a video viewing platform, not really a social media as such. It does have a community aspect to it, but it's sort of in its own lane, running its own race. And creators over 40 are actually dominating the number of active. They make up just over 50%. I don't have a figure, but I have heard that on a regular basis, that over 50% of current open channels are by creators over the age of 40. That's pretty cool. So keep that in mind. Don't beat yourself up thinking that this is a young person's game, all right? Because it's not. It's available to everybody. Like, I follow some great creators over the age of 80, and they're killing it. They are literally just kicking some extreme goals here on YouTube, which is awesome to see. So it's not a young person's game, but it can just feel like that. And especially, and even when I went into this department store, this tech store, there were young people looking at drones and talking about stuff like they just knew a bit of everything, way more than what I knew. And they were younger. So it's only natural that they're going to be up to date with certain things, probably more than us, because they've grown up with a phone in their hand, talking to a phone, and even streaming and content creating for social media is something that comes quite naturally to them. All right? So don't beat yourself up about that. Well, I hope that's given you a little insight on our discussion today in regards to, content creators, predominantly over the age of 40, trying to navigate technology overload. Trust me, I'm with you on that, and happy to support anywhere I can. So if this video has resonated with you and you've enjoyed this sort of content, please give me a like and subscribe. It goes a long way to helping my channel out and help me keep on doing what I'm doing. And until next time, look after yourself.